Good evening. I'm Boluwatife Adesina, and I'm going to be going through the deployments of the project that I did that fulfills all the requirements of the assignment. So essentially, what we were told to do, what the assignment was to create a three-tiered web application, containerize the necessary things. Then, based on those containerized images, we should now orchestrate the containers. So that's pretty much what I did. So the name of my application is the Kubernetes full stack application. I have the backend files, which is the Docker file for the backend. I'll open it now. It's open on my system. I should move this here. So essentially, what this was, I just used Node.js 16. I created a directory of the application, copied all the important JSON files, and then ran npm install on that image, and then exposed it to port 3000. That's pretty much just it. That's all I did in the Docker file. The node modules, when you run npm install, we have the node modules and the package JSON. I actually ran into an issue here that related to me not having Express and Mongoose installed, so I had to come back and fix that. That's what I did in this file. I set up the dependencies. If you can see it here, I hope you can. Let me zoom in a little bit. You can see the dependencies Express and Mongoose. If you do open this application on your system, you'll be able to see it. And then I created a server.js file that actually is going to expose these files to the port, right? So, and I also had this MongoDB URL here as well. So, essentially, once you open it, it just shows the MongoDB server and the ID. So that's all. Then for the front end, which is I use Nginx to create the front end. Uh, that's quite simple. I just use Alpine, not Alpine 14, just Alpine, exposed it to port 80, and that's all. That's all for this point. So now the orchestration, which was quite interesting to do. The namespace, the YAML file, essentially I just created a separate namespace so that you know you'll be able to I set up a different profile from the default because yesterday we worked on the assignment 3, and I used the default namespace. So I decided to organize my work into different namespaces, namely this namespace called full stack dash app. And then for the node config map, do you have a moment? I shall open it with you if I talk, texted it. So in the node config.yaml file, I set up in the namespace, it should point uh, the backend to this particular URL and expose it on port 3000. And the deployment just takes that and runs with it. Essentially, what it does is exposes it on port 3000, makes use of the image of the node backend file, which is here, this one, and exposes it on that port 3000. It's orchestrating it that way. And what is next? One moment. I also created a service. This is what's actually going to do the exposing. It's going to be pushed from the local. If you want it to be from the node port, we want to push it all the way to localhost. So I'm just going to show you all the code that I ran. I created. You should be if you pause, you should be able to see all this. I created the namespace here. I built the image. You can see there's some errors, obviously, that come with working on this application. Uh, then I created the image and then I pushed it to the front end link here. Then I also pulled in Mongo. I pulled Mongo, which is why I don't have it in my repository. This is a Docker pull Mongo. Then where next? I now ran all the Kubernetes files. I ran all the Kubernetes. I created them all. I created all the namespaces, all the services. I created all of them on this particular Kubernetes cluster. And then I I ran into a number of errors actually related to what talked about earlier. It could not find the module express, so I had to go back and fix that. That's what this is about. Then, if I keep scrolling, I would show you that everything is working. So I was able to forward everything. Forward. This is for the MongoDB. I was able to forward it. If you see, look here, I have it. If I go to the IP address, it says you're trying to access Mongo over the HTTP. So to directly communicate with it, I had to install Mongo Shell, Mongo SH, and that's this I did by using Homebrew And then I installed it and was able to actually communicate with the database. I switched to TestDB, created a collection and inserted a record into said collection. Then I was able to find it. I was able to then find the ID of the object, then actually update it with different information from New York to Los Angeles, and then delete just the name, and that's all. That was it. So that's it for the bulk of the application. It was actually quite interesting to pick up. It was a little challenging. This is the Node.js API when it's just forwarded, and this is the Nginx launch page. That's it. Thank you. Have a great day.